Okay, so I'm going to try and tell the story of Colombia. Now, I have to be careful because all of the people I've spoken with that have a history with Lion Liam and his nonsense are all fearful of retribution. They're all fearful of him finding out that they were the source of this information, or somehow he would continue harassing them, or start harassing them again, or start threatening them again, or start taking action against them again, which apparently is very commonplace. If you ever cross Shampoople, he's he's quite petty and is very spiteful. So apparently there was he's in Peru, and from what I understand, a lot of these and mission trips, they're just screenings basically to promote his offices in Peru and Dominican Republic, and he doesn't pay people very much. There's several doctors that I talked to that claim they made $4 or $5 an hour working for him, that he would make the lion's share of the money from the work that they did, and the thousands of dollars a month would go to him for doing nothing, and then they would get very little. Some people reported paying money to work for him, or losing money. It would cost them money to go work for him. But it's just, the CWD, Chiropractic World Domination, IFCO, it's all nonsense. Just Google it, just look at it, form your own opinion, ask some critical questions, and you'll realize very quickly this it's all nonsense. It's pure garbage. It's just a scam to get money from people, and that's it. But Colombia. So apparently, according to Liam, there was some, and this is according to Lion Liam, the Shampooplenator himself, there was some falling out, hence the lawsuit that he talks about, and why he can't say anything because of this lawsuit, right? So, and I really can't say anything because of the lawsuit. I need to protect the people that are involved just as much as it benefits Liam to keep this information hidden. It also protects other individuals. So, without sharing too much information, there was a falling out, and there are no chiropractic laws in Colombia, and no chiropractor has a license to practice chiropractic in Colombia because there are no chiropractic licenses. So nobody has their documentation, but there are some chiropractors in the nation that practice and they help people, and a few offices that were affiliated with the Shampooplenator, Shampoople, and Lion Liam, they were targeted, and they started receiving threats, and then they were shut down without cause and without warning. They were immediately shut down. They came and they shut the offices down. Nobody was asked to leave the country. As far as I can tell, that's not true. But these offices were shuttered for some time, for a number of months, and they really, they lost a lot. They lost everything. Some of these people, I can only imagine. The only time I've shut down for any period of time has been at my own choosing, because I wanted to take time off and travel or do something, on my own terms. I can imagine that if my office was shut down unexpectedly and not according to my terms, that it would be a tremendous disruption to my life in general. But it's purely out of spite, purely out of his own narcissism, in order to harm those that he feels harmed him. Liam shut these offices down and caused great harm to these people. That's probably the most extreme example of the harm that he's caused people, or to the degree at which he will go to cause people harm. But he's taken complaints against other chiropractors. He's publicly embarrassed other chiropractors. He's taken chiropractors in order to teach them a lesson, put them in isolated communities in Peru, and made sure they didn't make very much money. And but some people go into these scenarios And they do get, if you go into it with the right mindset, you can come out of it with a good experience. If you're not going into it to make money, if you're not going into it for a job, if you're going into it for the experience of traveling or the experience of acting as a quasi-pioneer, well then that's fantastic. But don't expect to make any money. Don't believe the hype. Because all the people that believe the hype that I've spoken to, people that I know, people that I've known for a long, long time, were heavily invested in this program, and they went and they saw, and they all reported back that it's a complete scam. Even the offices in Peru and the Dominican Republic, I mean, why, this all starts, I didn't even really realize this until later on, that, I guess it was probably 10 years ago or so, maybe less, maybe for the past, 8, 9, 10 years ago, in that time frame. This guy he ran ads, and he was all over the place promoting his 1,000 patient a week plan. He saw 1,000 a week, and he'll show you how to see 1,000 a week. It was all nonsense. He wasn't seeing anywhere near 1,000 a week. As a matter of fact, he's never even really practiced that much. Talks about how he has dozens of years in practice, 20 years in practice. No, he doesn't. At best, the most you can verify is that he practiced for like 5 or 6 years. And in that time, he says he saw all kinds of hundreds, thousands of patients, every week, 1,000 patients. No, he didn't. It's all lies. It's all nonsense. None of it is true. It's all, he sold that but that nonsense was quickly discredited because he was contradicting himself. There was no way that he could work those number of hours and see that number of people and meet any quality standard of care. You'd have a hard time shaking that many hands in the amount of time he said he was providing care for 1,000 patients. It just wasn't true. It was just a lie. And then his keys to success that he sold to people, it was all nonsense, regurgitated self-help nonsense. The fact of the matter is he has a communications degree, and he's using his communications degree in order to create this message and create this phantom fixation and create the IFCO. The only thing important about the IFCO is the way its name sounds. It is nothing. There is no IFCO. It's just a figment of creation of his ego. They don't do anything. They've never done anything. They're not recognized by anybody. It's a $500 a year scam. If you want to send him $500 a year to go around and do some nonsense, go right ahead. The only time you're going to read about the CWD or whatever is when someone else is being interviewed. There's not even a website. There's nothing. You get on the IFCO website, half the links don't even work. There's no product page, doesn't work. The position papers don't work. The news conference, the news releases doesn't work. Half the website doesn't work. So in the years that they've been around, they haven't managed to create a functional website. It's nonsense. It's pure garbage. But these people buy into it because he does everything he can to get you to like him and to buy into his messages. But then the blind followers, do some critical thinking, especially before you start hating people and start threatening people on his behalf. Because he hides behind you. He hides behind you people out there that think you're doing something good by trying to protect him. There's a reason he's not welcome on campuses. There's a reason why you have to go down the street from the school. There's a reason why he's constantly recruiting new people into his program. If he's so retired, why is he constantly recruiting? When was the last time he took a day off from recruiting? He's always doing something to get people to do these mission trips, which are unethical in themselves, but he uses Machiavellian reasoning in order to justify doing these screenings for his offices and using students rather than doctors to do that. You're never going to see a mission trip from Doctors Without Borders where they're going to send a bunch of medical students to Africa to help the underserved populations. They're not sending medical students to the Dominican Republic. They're not sending physical therapy students to the Dominican Republic or Peru or Colombia or any of those other places. They're sending doctors. They're sending therapists. They're sending people that are licensed to provide care. If you're not licensed to provide care, you shouldn't be going out there providing care. right? You should be in a supervised setting, such as a clinic, where it takes 2 hours to get a new patient in the door, takes a half an hour to get an adjustment done, because every step of the way you're under supervision. That's why it takes so long. There's no way that you're going to go out for a weekend, adjust 200 people, and tell me that you've benefited those 200 people. What you've done is you've reinforced bad habits, and you've established bad adjustment technique, and you've reinforced bad habits in your adjustive style. You've not learned anything. Because in order to learn, you're going to need to have someone over your shoulder every step of the way, making sure your shoulder's in the right position, making sure your hands are in the right position, your tissue pull's in the right direction, that your setup is right, that you're moving the right bone in the right direction, and that you've done a pre and post analysis. There's no way, if seeing 1,000, that was one of the big things with his 1,000 a week scam that fell apart so fast, was that there's no way that he could work the number of hours he said he was working and see the number of people he said he was seeing and do the things he said he was doing. It just was not mathematically possible. So everyone quickly saw through his scam nonsense. And this is the latest scam. Just like Ben Lerner went from Body by God to Maximize Living to whatever real estate nonsense he's pitching now. Lion Shampoople went from one scam to a sham to a crisscross to a mission. It's all nonsense. Don't believe the hype. And all his followers, that fake followers that follow him around, they're not real followers. They, maybe I haven't read this stupid book that he's always selling with his narcissistic attitude, but in all likelihood, all it is, another mechanism to promote a CWD that doesn't exist, an IFCO that doesn't exist, to chase this phantom fixation, to put more money in his pocket for doing nothing. Because none of this is an original thought. He hasn't had, nothing that he's ever put out has ever been an original thought. It's been regurgitated nonsense. Same thing as Chiro sushi. Not one original thought in the whole group. It's all just a bunch of regurgitated nonsense from a bunch of con artists and con men spewing crap, trying to see how much money they can get out of this profession without actually serving a patient. That's where, the real successful doctors, they don't have time for this. If you are making $20,000, $30,000 a week, you don't take time off to go pitch some nonsense to some other chiropractors. You focus on making the $20,000, $30,000 a week. That's what you do. And you probably have some serious overhead. So you've got to continue doing it in order to make sure that you cover that overhead and pay those bills. Because you're not doing it alone. You have employees, and they need to eat, and they need to feed their families. So you got to go to work. You don't have time for this nonsense, right? So it's complete and total nonsense. And it was pure spite that led this man to shut offices down in Colombia, that cost those people a tremendous amount. It caused tremendous harm. And that's what he does every single day. He causes people tremendous difficulty to feed himself. From what I understand, before you can even make a bonus in the north of Peru, you have to come up with as much as $8,000 to pay the Liam overhead, the Shampoople overhead. $8,000. I have an office on the water, 10 feet from the Puget Sound, in one of the most expensive cities and one of the most expensive states in the United States, where I have all these protections and a social network and everything else and a stable government and a healthy economy, and I didn't pay $8,000 a month in overhead. But somehow, Liam Schubel has managed to create a situation which his associates need to pay him in excess of $8,000 a month in order to pay the overhead for an office in the north of Peru, which, according to our best estimations, cost him less than $1,000 a month. I mean, I've heard some pretty nasty, horrible stories. A lot of these nasty, horrible stories I can't repeat. I can't share the details because of the fear of retribution. Because these people were in abusive relationships, and they're still dealing with the consequences of their abusive relationships. But he absolutely shut these offices down, and just out of spite, just purely out of spite. Peru is a long way away from Colombia. They weren't going to cause him any problems whatsoever, but he had the means in order to cause them harm and to intimidate others in the area. That's exactly what he did. Because what he's done is the people that are under his control, he's shown them that he's in control. See, really, the true victims are the people in Peru, because they don't need Lion Shampoople up there in Jersey collecting $8,000 a month per office before they make any money, right? But they need his protection that he offers, his protection is from himself, because he has the means of shutting you down. right? Look what I did to those people. I'll do that to you, right? I'll take everything away from you just like that. There you go, just like that. Take it away. Because that's what he did. And it's a means of intimidation. Because he's an abusive person. He puts these people in abusive relationships. He cuts you off from your friends and family by shipping you out of the country. Right? Why can't you find people in New Jersey that need help? I've been to Newark. There's people in New Jersey that need help. Right? Cuts you off from your friends and family, moves you thousands of miles away. He monitors and controls your actions and movements. He's constantly criticizing you. You're the reason that you're having problems. You're not working hard enough. You have to work harder. He controls all of the money. Right? He publicly will shame you and humiliate you from New Jersey in order to intimidate you, and he uses intimidation in order to get what he wants out of people. And he's extraordinarily narcissistic. He cannot open his mouth without boosting his ego, boosting these phantom things that he's created that are pure nonsense. That's what's wrong. That harms our profession. It truly harms our profession. He feeds on our brothers and sisters. He takes from our brothers and sisters. He harms our brothers and sisters. He harms our profession. He makes our profession look bad. He makes us look silly. Nonsense, right? And when you are claiming that you're caring for people, but yet seeing 1,000 people a week, spending less than 2 minutes with patients, that's not caring for people. That's not putting patient care. How are you doing a pre and a post and evaluation and caring for people inside of 2 minutes? I think it takes me about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes just to get the person on the table. Hey, how you doing? How you feeling? How's your mom and them? Okay, great. And what's going on? How you feeling? Anything you want to tell me about? You fall off any roofs? You fall off the scooter? You jump off the trampoline? What'd you do this weekend? Right? Okay, great, fantastic. That takes a couple minutes, right? Then you got to lay down on the table, get comfortable on the table, unload your pockets, get the stuff out of your pockets, right? Now maybe you have CAs and things doing that, helping you out, and you have 3 rooms, and this is all going on, simultaneously. But still, it takes a moment. It's a process that requires time. A pre, a post, an evaluation, and care takes more than 2 minutes. Everything this man does, if you want to learn how to be a real chiropractor, don't go learn from this guy. This guy everything about him is a lie. How long has he actually been in practice? How long did he actually practice? How many people did he actually see? You're never going to get that truth out of him. Everything is nonsense. This chiropractic world domination nonsense. The IFCO nonsense. If student will look at that on its surface and you think, oh, there's some IFCO right? Oh, no, there's not. It's nothing. It does nothing. There's 3 sentences on a website and half the website doesn't work. But yet they collect $500 a year from a number of chiropractors, but they can't get, in a number of years, they can't get their website to work. They can't do more than publish other people's content. They can't do anything more than put money in the pockets of Lion Shampoople. It's really disgusting. So that's the story of Colombia, about as much as I can share. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me, chirounion@gmail.com. I'll try my best to answer them. But for now, that's where I'm going to leave Lion Shampoople and the Colombia story. And I wish all those that are affected the absolute best. And I hope it all works out in the long run. And who knows what may come of this. And really, the only reason this even came up at all is because Lion Shampoople had to run his mouth and just keep attacking me and attacking me and attacking me for no reason, and people brought their stories to me. I didn't seek any of this out. And he likes to talk how he doesn't seek me out. Well, I certainly didn't ask for any of his attacks, and I didn't ask for any of these stories to come out. It was his own ego and his own narcissism that led other people to bring the stories out to me. And this has all been verified over and over again by a number of different people. Even the facts that I've shared, they have been verified repeatedly by a number of different people that have direct knowledge of the situation. So you can't link it to any one individual having supplied the information. I wish I could share more details, but I can't do so without sacrificing or betraying a trust that those who shared their comments with me. I can't. I want to. It's important to maintain that relationship, and that they trust that relationship. Certainly more so than Liam and his nonsense. So, if you have any questions, if you're interested in working overseas, I actually now know a number of people that have offices overseas, and they'd be glad to work with you. Or if you need any advice on how to investigate a potential employer overseas, feel free to give me a call. Unfortunately now I have plenty of information on how to go about working overseas as a result of this. But thank you very much for your time, and look for more videos on YouTube, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will share some stuff on Facebook. Most of the stuff's going to start going up on YouTube. And we're getting ready. We're testing out the cameras, testing out equipment, as we're going to get ready to launch a podcast. We got some more equipment showing up. Chiro Union Podcast will be distributed again on Facebook and also Google and the website and YouTube and all that. But we're creating a stage for us to share our own message. And, if one of these con artists, one of these con men, they want to face the heat, they want to answer the tough questions, they want to prove that they're not a con artist, well, let them step on up and prove they're not a con artist. But I can tell you right now that there's hundreds of them out there, thousands of them. Liam has just been around for a long time. He's been around as long as Ben Lerner and these guys. And it's just, it's just such an old song. It's easy to point out. But he also does the most damage. And there's a lot of people out there that still, even they'll watch this and they'll still think that this is a great guy doing great things. No, he's not. He's brainwashed you. He has a degree in communications, right? That's the degree he's using, is his communications degree, because he's not putting his hands on anybody. He's not adjusting anybody, right? There's people all around him that need chiropractic care, but he's not adjusting one of them, right? And he claims he'll have an office with 1,000 people in it. Well, yeah, he just doesn't. You don't want to make $30,000 a week. You don't want to make $40,000 a week. Yeah, it's pure nonsense. He's just a liar, right? And he didn't practice for 10, 15, 20 years. He practiced for like 5 years, right? And half of that is a lie. So he couldn't make any money as a chiropractor. He wasn't a success as a chiropractor. But he took his communications degree, and he's just been selling this nonsense. He's been creating this persona and gets you to buy into this persona. And that's why he works so hard at it every single day, because it's all fake. And it'll go away and it'll deflate unless he just feeds it constantly. And he needs to constantly feed the machine in Peru, because people get sick of it and leave very quickly. So he constantly needs a fresh supply, fresh people coming in. And that's why he got kicked off campuses, because he's taking advantage of students. And the schools want to protect the students from the con artists, from this scam. So that's why he's not allowed there. But he spins it and tells you some nonsense story about the school, and you have to meet you down the road. Yeah, it's a real sign of success. You got to sneak around and meet people down the street. That's what snakes do. That's what con artists do. And that's what he is. A con artist, a scam, Shampoople, a sham of poop. Ugh.